Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and the managing editor at Enchanted Ink Publishing, and today we are wrapping up what I did for Nano. Now I know it's a little bit early. Today is Thursday, November 23rd, but I am very happy to announce that I completed and achieved the goal that I set out for myself for NaNoWriMo. So if you have not been watching, my goal for Nano this year was to finish the second draft of the second book in my paranormal romance trilogy, and I officially finished it. Now, I finished it a few days ago. I just have been busy working, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and kind of catch up with you. But I've officially finished it. I am so excited because it feels so much better than draft 1 and draft 1.5. This month for Nano, I did a lot of restructuring of this draft. I moved huge chunks of this book around. I had to write new scenes. I had to revise some scenes pretty heavily, and I think I did a good job. I feel like all of the changes I made improved the story. I think I improved the flow and the pace of the plot, and I also tried to add a bit more conflict, because adding conflict to my stories has always been a little bit of a struggle for me, but I think I did a good job. So we are currently sitting at, for this draft, my goal was 60,000 and I'm sitting at 59,485. That is only 515 words away from my 60K goal. So I am very content with that. And this is only the second draft, so I do plan to do another revision on this. My next revision will be a line editing pass. During that pass, I have a feeling I will be able to bulk up that word count and officially hit 60K, because I do tend to be an underwriter. So very content with the length of this book, especially considering book 1. I think I looked back and it was like 50,000 words in the first draft. So I ended up adding like 8,000 words to book 1 over the course of my revision passes. But here's the thing, not only did I finish writing this draft, I had a crazy outlining session, and I actually sat down and almost finished the outline for book 3. Last year, I very lightly outlined the entire trilogy, but it was just like I outlined the first book, and then the next two books, you know, got thinner and thinner in terms of like the outline structure. So I had to do a lot of work for this book, and I ended up writing 1,439 words in terms of an outline. I outlined all of Act 1, and Act 2 is only missing one plot point right now. Chapter 17 I have not quite outlined, but it's almost done. And then Act 3, I am missing 1. So I am actually only missing 2 plot points right now, and I even have an epilogue in there. So right now the outline is 28 chapters, but if you've been following along, you'll know that I start with a chapter by chapter outline, but then over the course of writing, that always shifts and changes. So I might have, 30 chapters, I might end up having 25 chapters, and I won't know that for sure until I get into the book and write it. But this outline is almost done, and what I'm doing right now, I've kind of taken a few days off from working on this story. I think what I'm gonna do is let this sink in a little bit. I've worked really hard on it over the course of November, so I think I'm just going to let this kind of stew and then return to book 2 and probably start the next round of revision in December. So I am very, very happy with where I'm sitting right now. I finished draft 2 for Nano, and I finished it, I finished that on Monday. So I finished it on the 20th of November, and I outlined almost the entirety of book 3. So we're in a really good spot. Now, the other thing that I am excited to talk about is that I have started thinking about Pistol Daisy again. I was talking to Greg, we were driving into town for groceries the other day, and I was just thinking about Daisy, and I've been thinking about her since then. She keeps like popping into my head, and I'm thinking that I want to return to Whiskey City. My main problem with Whiskey City has been I mean, I have written like 3 drafts of that book at this point. This book, I don't even know how long this book is at this point, but I have written multiple drafts. I like went through this and, you know, was leaving developmental notes to myself and stuff. Earlier this year, I think it was like January, I completely re-outlined Whiskey City because the story just was not working, but I think I want to return to it and try to push through that struggle that I've been having. And earlier this year, like I was saying, I did completely re-outline Whiskey City. So at this point, even though I've written 3 drafts of this book, it has to start over. I have to literally write a totally new draft. And I want to do that. Daisy is my favorite character that I have ever written. She's also a character who is very different from me, which is really fun because I think we tend to write ourselves into our stories even without meaning to. And there are certainly some elements of her that align with me, but she is so different from me and I have a really fun time writing her, partially because of that. So I have a 4-page outline right now, 1,539 words of Whiskey City, and I think I want to return to this. Like I was saying, you know, Daisy is not only my favorite character I've written, but I think she's also the most intimidating because I'm so passionate about her story that I really want to do her justice, and I know that I have let that scare me away from actually working on her story because I'm wanting it to be so good that I'm afraid to try and to fail at that. And I know that this book, the first 3 drafts of this book failed. Absolutely. Like, this book was just not interesting. Even though I wrote this whole thing, it was really slow and it lacked a premise and it just was drifty. And I've talked before about how that is another thing I struggle with, is my characters just drifting around. And Daisy was drifting in this book, and that is why I completely re-outlined this. And I'm thinking that what I need to do is to just do my best and go for it and write this book. Because if I just keep sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting on it, that intimidation will keep building up. So I really need to face that and see what I can do and do the best I can for her. And I'm feeling like I want to return to this outline, and it's obviously a little bit too early to be setting goals for this project, but at this point, since I last picked up Whiskey City, I have written 2 new books, I have published a book, and I have outlined 3 books, and I feel that I have sharpened my skills a little bit more and a little bit more. Every time I outline a book, I get a little bit better at it. I understand story structure a little bit more. Every time I write a book, I'm getting better and faster. Every time I edit a book, my own work, I am learning how to pick up on developmental flaws. So I've had a bit more practice at this point, and I think that will really serve me well returning to Daisy. So the idea that kind of popped into my head today was that in 2024, I think it would be a lofty goal, but a good goal, to say that I want to finish my paranormal romance trilogy. And of course, book 2 at this point is already getting pretty close. I want to publish book 2 probably in early 2024 and then get started on book 3. I think it would be a great goal to say I want to finish that trilogy, so 2 more books, and publish Whiskey City. Whiskey City would probably be more toward the end of 2024, but I think that would be a really good goal. And I would so love to continue Daisy's story, but because I cannot let her just drift away and just sit there forever. Like, I want to write her stories and I want to share them and do them justice and get them out in the world so other people can go on an adventure with her as well. So that's where I am sitting right now. I wanted to kind of get you caught up on everything that I has been rolling through my mind, and the fact that I finished my book, almost totally finished outlining book 3, and now I think I'm gonna pick up Whiskey City outline today, and I'm gonna go back through this. So I think, Today I'm going to, yeah. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and read through this whole thing, especially knowing now that I have a bit more practice with outlining. And we are going to see if this outline holds any water in my head now, because I felt like it was really good last time I was working on it, but it might be a dud and I might have to start over again. We'll see. Anyway, that is my final kind of NaNoWriMo wrap up. moving forward, you can expect a lot more writing vlogs. I'm going to be editing book 2, officially finishing the outline for book 3, and we will see if I will be dabbling with Whiskey City as well. It would make me really, really happy to do that. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope NaNoWriMo is treating you well. Please let me know in the comments down below how your writing is going, if you're participating, if you were a rebel this year, if you've already crushed your 50K word goal. I would love to know how things are going for you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.